Yeah, I'll be going to start now. Guys are able to see my screen? You are able to see my screen? Are you guys able to see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah, today's session is a Scala session and Python. So I will start from the Scala first. So how to use a Scala in the data engineering, like for the Spark. Okay. So Scala is mainly used for the Spark here. Okay. Because Scala we can use for the other purpose also, like we can use in the web application. Okay. The Scala can be used in multi-threaded applications also. Scala similar to Java, so it can be used in the various different places we can use the Scala. But our Scala can be used for the data science also, because machine learning algorithms we can use in Scala similar to Python. But our purpose is to use Scala for the Python or Spark. Okay, so we'll use Spark Scala, and Spark is written in Scala. So that is the reason why we go for Scala, and mostly companies also prefer Scala. The reason is the Spark is written in Scala. So if you want to write any application which should be very, very good performance, right? You cannot get that performance in the Python. Okay. So Python is bit slow. And if you are going for a good performance application, so you have to choose Scala. So Scala runs on the Java JVM, okay, because it's not having its own runtime environment. It's using Java runtime environment, Java JVM, okay. It's having on compiler, but JVM is using for the runtime environment, okay. So Scala syntax is pretty much same like as Java, okay. So those who are familiar with the Java, so they can easily understand. And Scala is pretty not easy to understand initially, because the syntax wise, I will say the format. But if someone is already familiar with the Java, so they can understand. So writing syntax is very important in Scala from the scratch, because other programming languages, like all the I will say the components, right? I will say what are the artifacts we are using, right? Like we have the functions, loop, okay, file handling, exception handling, everything is there in the Scala as well. Okay. Okay. So anybody is okay. So for data engineering, right, we need two things, right? Okay. One is a programming and a SQL. Okay. So why we need a programming? Because we are writing the pipelines, right? In the data engineering, we have pipelines, we say ETL pipelines. So most of the times you have heard about, right, extract, transform, load, right? So these ETL pipelines, you are customizing. Even we have the some ETL tools are there. Like many people are working on different tools. They are working like data stage is there. Okay, from the IBM data stage is there, and Informatica is there. Okay, Talent is there, right? These are the various ready-made tools, right? And these tools are all drag and drop tools, right? You can like very quickly you can design your ETL pipeline, and you can define your component of your ETL pipeline, right? You are ingesting the data, you are transforming data, and you are loading the data to the target. So when you say extracting data, so you are reading data from the various sources, right? So it could be a file system, SQL, NoSQL, or REST APIs, Elasticsearch, any source could be, or streaming source could be also like Kafka. Okay, so source could be anything. Source could be anything. Okay, the source could be anything. Okay, so you can drag and drop component in this ready-made tool, and you can define. Okay, source could be anything. It could be a file system having a different file system data, right? CSV, JSON, XML, Parquet, ORC, Avro. So they are the different types of file format data are there. Parquet, ORC, Avro. Okay, And if we talk about the SQL, so SQL databases, we have some SQL databases like SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL. Okay, so these are the categories of the SQL. NoSQL databases, we have HBase, Cassandra, Mongo. So these are the popular NoSQL database, Cassandra, MongoDB. Okay, and we can Kafka is for streaming, Twitter, right? So these are the streaming sources. Okay, when we are going for the real-time streaming, we use these streaming sources. So first we are extracting the data. Then next is we are applying the transformation. Okay. So transformations could be we are doing the join of the two data set. We are making a union of the two data set, or we are filtering the data set. So filtering data set. Okay. Filtering data set, joining two data set, joining two data set. Okay, you are doing aggregations, right? Aggregation functions you are using, aggregation functions. So transformation could be anything. Okay, and then loading data to the target, loading to the final destination where you want to write the data. So this loading data also could be anything. It could be a streaming source, or it could be a streaming target, or it could be a file system, it could be a NoSQL, or it could be a SQL. So when you are designing the pipeline, so you need some like considerations like what type of file format you are using, how much data size volume is there. So we can use these tools, but these are not providing like more customizations, right? I can do drag and drop. Some programming things you can do, like in the NiFi, we can write our own processor. Okay, so NiFi we can write our custom, because we can write a custom Java processor. Okay, that way we can do, but it is more complex, right? Okay, so Spark is providing the ETL. Okay, so Spark is mainly known for the ETL. Spark is used for ETL. Okay, and another word is there, ELT. Like we have heard about ELT. ELT is used for the data warehousing, like Redshift, SQL, Hive. These are the right ELT tools. So ELT tools are costly because we are on demand. We are extracting the data. But in ETL, we are extracting data immediately. We are transforming data and loading the data to the target. So it's not costly. That ELT is costly. Okay. So Spark is used for ETL, and we are designing the pipeline. Now the thing comes, right, which language we should use for the Spark. Okay, so Spark is written in Scala. Spark is written in Scala. Okay, Scala language it is written. But Spark has provided different programming language flavor, right? We can use Spark with Scala, Spark with Java, Spark with R, Spark with Python. So any one of them, we can use it. Okay. So if I say like when I should go for Spark with Python, when I should go for Spark with Java, or when I should go for the Spark with Scala. So Spark with Python is mostly the choice is like when you have project is a data science project or machine learning project, right? The project is having the data science and data engineering both together. So we can use Spark ML Lib. Okay. So if Spark ML Lib we can use, then Python based Spark. Okay, Spark Python, PySpark is a good choice. PySpark is a good choice. Okay. But when I say I want to write an application which should be performance should be very, very good, right? It should read and write should be very faster, and it should have a very good performance. So for good performance application, we can go Spark with Scala. Okay. And Spark with Java also there. Okay. So we can say one choice for the Spark with Java if companies are using Spark Java, or they have already the Java projects are there, right? So they have a very good integration with the Spark with Java. Suppose they are using Spring Boot microservices. Okay. They are using Spring Boot microservices project they are using, and they want to integrate their project, right? Right. Their data is coming from the different sources, and they are using Spring Boot application already. So Spark Java they will prefer, because here the Java library APIs they can easily integrate in their Spark Java application. Okay, so that will be choice. And Spark R, like when you have like R integrations, then we go for Spark R. So mostly choice will be in the Spark, Scala, and Python, because one reason Spark Java is having very lengthy code, right? So for is because Java itself, like I can say, if I want to write a one hello world program, I have to write a complete class. Okay. But in the Python and Scala, these two are the scripting language. Okay. So scripting language, the advantage is we are writing a very less code, boilerplate code we are not writing. Okay. So we have um, libraries like lambdas is there. Okay. Lambda is in Java also, but I'll say like you have to write much more code than the Scala and the Python. Okay. So we have to choose either Scala or Python depending on the uh, requirement, right? Like whether the project requirement is already there to use a Scala or Python, or depending on the use case, whether it's a data science project or it's a good performance application. So we can select. Okay. So now we come to like, okay, Scala. So how to start the Scala? Anyone has question? Okay, so how to start the Scala? Okay, so okay, so start like we have to understand the how to write a code in Scala. We need to understand well and where. Okay, I will be starting from the sketch, but before starting the Scala, I will show right how to install the Scala and how to use in the IntelliJ Scala. Okay, so there are the two ways we can do. One is the terminal, right? We can use the command line, and Scala provides a interactive shell. Interactive shell. So this interactive shell is the same like same as Python interactive shell. Okay, Python interactive shell. So when we install Scala, we will get a Scala prompt, and after getting a Scala prompt, and then we can write our Scala syntax. Okay, we can define where x equal to 10, and then we can say the print x. Okay, so I can print the value of. So I will tell about what is the where and val, because this we will go through in the more detail. Okay, so we have to use for Scala in entire this session, we will use val and where. Okay, so in IntelliJ, when you have IntelliJ, so in IntelliJ, you can download the IntelliJ. IntelliJ is well-known editor, right? Okay, we can use the Eclipse also. There is a Scala ID Eclipse editor is there. So Scala ID you can do. That is a one option. Those who are very much familiar with the Eclipse, okay, those people can use Scala ID. So this Scala ID you can download for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and then practice for the Scala. So this is the editor for the Scala. Another one is IntelliJ. So IntelliJ you can download. IntelliJ we can have for the Java and the Scala application. So IntelliJ download you go. There you will download the community version. This community version you can download as per your right, whether Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. So once you download and install your IntelliJ, okay, so in IntelliJ, you go first, you have to add the plugin for the Scala, because by default, the Scala plugin is not there. So you have to go file and settings. Okay. And here you have to go to plugin, and here you have to find the Scala. Mine is already Scala is installed. So that is the reason Scala is coming check mark. Okay. So you can find Scala and you can install and you can restart your system. Once you not restart the IntelliJ. Once you restart, and then you will see like you can create a Java application and then add the Scala. So for Scala, okay, first is like what are the build tools are there for, because Scala project we have to compile and build, right? And then we have to run. So the build tool is needed. So there are the three build tools are there. Okay, one is Maven, SBT, and Gradle. Okay, so Maven and Gradle, these two are default for the Java. Okay, but SBT is a default for Scala. It is default for Scala. Okay, so if you are creating any SBT project, okay, so you have by default this is a Scala default build tool. Okay, and other one is a Maven and Gradle are for the default for Java. But Scala we can use all three. Scala is supporting all three, and Java is supporting only Maven and Gradle. So Maven, this is supporting Maven. Sorry, this is the Java and Scala both. SBT is only Scala, and Gradle is for Java and Scala. Okay. So One way is like I will create one Java project, and that Java project I will add the library of the Scala. So that is a way, because finally we need a Java runtime environment for the Scala, right? Because Scala runs on Java. Okay. So what we can do in IntelliJ, either I can create a directly a SBT project, so that option is there, or I can create a one Java project. I create a Java project, and add capability, add framework support, Scala. So I have already added a plugin. So you will get this option, add framework support Scala. You will get that option, and then you can make it your project Scala project. Make it Scala project. So we have to change src main Java folder, src main Java. This Java you need to change to Scala. Okay, same like you have to do in the test package also. Src main, right, test. Okay, so in the test package also, main Scala, there also you have to do Scala. So both places you have to change the folder Scala. Okay, and you create a Java project first, and then you can add the you can change the folder to Scala, and then add the Scala framework support. Okay, so I will show this one how to do. So new project I'm going to create. It's very simple. Like you can create a Maven project. So you can create a here the this is a Maven archetype project. So I'm just giving us some name of the project, Scala project. And here is I'm choosing the archetype is quick start. This is for Java, like Maven archetype quick start. Okay. And this archetype I'm choosing. So it will ask you create a project in the same window and the new window. So you can select that option. So your project will be created. And then we have to change the here like Java to Scala, we have to change. So once the project comes, so I will show. Okay, like this Scala 1.2 is created. So this Scala 1.2, this is a pom.xml, and this is a src. src main Java is coming because it's a Java project, because Maven is a default for the Java. Okay, so you will get here the Java. Okay, so this package you need to change. Okay, we have to rename it because we are doing for the Scala, so we have to refactor. Okay, refactor Scala, and we will refactor here in the test package also. Okay, and I will add a framework support here. Add framework support. So here is Scala I'm selecting. So my Scala library is already coming, but who are using first time, it will not be coming. Scala SDK is not coming. This is the Scala SDK, like similar to the Java SDK. We have a Scala SDK, and Scala version is 2.12. Okay, so Scala's okay, newer version is a 3.x. So, but Scala we can use either 2.12 point some minor version we can use like 12.10, or we can use 2.13.10. Okay. So these are the version, but newer version is the Scala is a 3.0 point something version is there. Okay. So that is a newer version. But Scala 2.12 or 13 is fine. 2.12 and 2.13. So how to get this Scala 2.12 or 13? So you can click on the create here, download option, select here the version like 2.13.10 I want, 2.13.10, click OK. So this is Scala SDK 2.13.10 is there. So I select this. Okay. So I added my Scala SDK in my project. Okay, if you see here, you can see here Scala SDK 2.30, right? You are getting. Now I want to create my first Scala object. Okay, so right click here, and then you can click on the Scala and you can say my object. Okay, so here in the Java, you write a main function, right? Here we write a main function in the object type. So these are the different types of classes are there. One is a regular class, one is a case class, one is a object, case object, and trait. Okay. So this class is a regular class where we define the functions only, functions and properties we define. That class, that is a regular class. And case class, we define only properties. You know, in Java, there is a POJOs, right? We talk about plain old Java objects. So POJOs we use in Java for defining the properties and setter getters. But here in the Scala, we have case. In the Scala, we have case class. So case class, we define the variables, okay, and we define the variables, and these variables will be used as a setting the values and getting the values, okay. So case class we define just for setting the properties purpose. We use case class, and case class used for the pattern matching. I will talk about what is the pattern matching. An object is used for the main object, right? There we can define. There we define the main function. Okay, there we define the main function. I can start my execution of my Scala object. Okay, so I will create, it's a singleton object is by default singleton. And if we know in the Java, the singleton is only one and one instance will be created, and the same instance will be used multiple times. So we call singleton class in Java by using static, right? Like we are having a class name dot method, like that we can call. Okay, so in Scala there is no static keyword, there is no static keyword. So we say like object is treated as a singleton. Okay, and it's a immutable object. Okay, so it's a singleton. Okay, so object, I can create object. I'm giving my object name, and this object I will define the main function. So if you type main and then control space bar, you will get the main function. So here you will see little bit syntax change from the Java. So here we are starting the keyword as a function def, def. Okay, so def keyword is used for to define a function. In Python we use def keyword. So in Scala also we have the def keyword. Then we define a function name and then parameters. Okay, and Scala is type inference language. So Scala don't need to specify the type. Type is not mandatory, similar to the Python. So Python, you just simply define a variable and assign the value. It will automatically take the type of the value. Okay, so similar thing is there in the Scala. Okay, but Scala we have to define the variable is a val or var. So this is a mandatory. We have to define. Suppose I say val, I say name, and I give some value hello. Okay, so when and there is no need of semicolon, there is no need of semicolon, and after that I just type print name. Okay, so I have created a one variable name, and I'm not defining any type, but type is of this one is string type. So this val is immutable and var is immutable. So why we define val and var? But this is the naming, this is the convention given by the Scala. Any variable, any object, you have to either say val or var. So you think about it, whether you have to define your object, whether you want to your variable or object, you want to change it or you don't want to change it. If you want to change it, so define it as a var. Okay, so when you say var name hello, then after I can change name equal to xyg, and then I can print name again. Okay, so when I run this, my object I'm running. Okay, so I will see that my variable value is changed. Okay, so first hello is printed. Okay, because I didn't use the print ln. Okay, so first is print ln for the new line. Print ln for the new line. So first is hello is printed, and later the value is changed xyz, and now the new value is xyg. But if I try here the val, I will get the compilation error. I'm getting the compilation error reassignment to val. I cannot modify the value because the val is immutable. So what is the difference between the val and var? Val is immutable, you cannot modify the value, and var is mutable, you can modify the value. Okay, so that's the difference between the val and var. Okay, so any variable, any object, you have to specify either val or var. Okay, and right side you can give the value. Okay, if you especially want to give the value type, okay, suppose I want to give, so I can give colon like that. So that way you can do. Okay, so if you specify the value, then you can do that. Okay, suppose I'm saying this is the integer. So when I'm saying this value is an integer type, explicitly type I'm defining, so I cannot assign the string value. So either I have to convert to this value, okay, to int, I have to do typecast. So this is a typecast I'm doing, right? I'm writing to int. So I'm making it, even this value is not an integer, but suppose my value is coming in the double code as a integer value, but I want to convert into the integer type. So I can convert by using the to int. Okay, now this value is the integer value. Okay, so it is accepting that value. If I don't give this, it will take automatically the type of integer. Okay, so type it will take it integer. So when I'm just assigning any value of particular type, the value type will be the integer. Okay. So this way we define the variable using val and var. Okay. So another one is a Scala shell is there. So for the Scala shell, how to bring this Scala shell? So we have to go to the Scala download. We go to Scala download. If I want to run so Scala download. So here I will go to the. So here are the different ways like I can so we can have MSI, we can do through MSI, we can download. Okay, we go for the older version like this. So either you can download the tar file, okay, and or you can run the MSI, you can download the zip, okay, for Windows and then extract it and set the Scala home and bin path in the environment variable. And then on the command line, you can type Scala, then you will get the Scala prompt. And here you can write the same syntax, okay, where x equal to 10. But here you have an interactive shell, so line by line command you can run. Okay, and now I do print x. But suppose I want to run the 10-15 lines of code, right? So there is a paste is there. So you can do colon paste. Okay, and now you can start typing the your code where x equal to 10 and then say print x. And then after you do control D. So you will see you will be processing like this. So if you have set of lines code you want to execute together, so you can use colon paste you can use, or you can define statement like one by one line of statement you can run. So here you can create also object. So simply what you need to do, you copy your object. This object you can copy. Okay, or you can create this object there. Okay, now how to run this object here? So you have to say my object dot main function dot main and then pass the null. Why null it is here? Because this is the main function is taking some string parameters, args array type. So for this we have to pass the null. So same output is coming. So when you want to execute your class object, right? So you can do. So we can create a class also. So class for the object oriented programming, right? We will use the class. So I create some class, new Scala class, say my class. Okay. And this class, I want to define some function. I say some function is there, which is taking a two parameter integer x value and y integer. And I want to define the return type here. So return type, you can say colon, and then you can say return type. and then equal sign, and then you can write the function body. So here is written simply. If I write 10, it is written only. If I just write an expression, that will return the value. You don't need to use any written keyword in the Scala. Okay, explicitly written keyword is not required. Okay, so I want to do the sum of the two values x plus y, and I want to return, just write x plus y. So it is making it your code very shorter. Like in the like Python also, we can write a very short code, right? So here we are writing. So here I'm specifying x is integer, y is integer, and integer I'm returning. If I don't specify this return, okay, so it will automatically take, it is intelligent, right? It understand what x plus y you are doing, that will return int only. So you don't need to say colon int, it will automatically take. Okay, but suppose you are returning a string value here. So suppose I say I'm returning some string. So what it will do? It will become automatically string. Okay, so whatever return is there, it will become return type. Same, right? Return type it will become. But how to write a function? You have to def, say minus, and then you have to provide the argument command line parameter. The parameters you have to pass it. So I'm saying x is an integer and y is an integer. So this is the by default is val type. Okay, when the function taking a parameter, so this is the val type x minus y. Okay, so here I'm calling the function. I'm writing a function. So these functions I can call in my object. How to call? I have to create a class instance. So how to create a class instance? Similar to Java, like we just define a val and I say obj my object, and I say new of my class. Okay, so my class is not taking any parameter, no constructor. Okay, it's a default constructor is there, so I'm not passing anything. And obj dot sum, and I can pass the values. Okay, and then I can, if I want to print it, because this, then I can write inside the print. Okay, so this is just a way like how to use class, how to use object. Suppose I want to create a case class, so I say case class, and case class name I say my case, and I say it has two variable. I say id integer is integer name string. With this case class, but case class doesn't need to use a new operator. Suppose I want to create a case class instance. So only just property you want to use, you can use case class. But you want to keep it properties and functions, everything you want, like a separate function you can create in a class. Okay, and that class you can call it your function. Here the case class, like I want to create this case class instance. I say where, I say my case, my instance name is a my case, and I'm saying my case, and I'm passing the values 1 comma 23 comma. So here is no new keyword is needed. Okay, so it's like a setter getter properties will automatically set it, like whatever values I'm setting, it will be set it in these values. Suppose I want to get it the value my case dot, okay, I can use apply and those functions I can use, or I can get it the value. So when I just run this, okay, first we do. Okay, so if I'm just calling this function of my class, so I'm getting the value here. Okay, so this way I can create a different types of classes, right? Class, objects. So but object is for the main function. So generally one main class which will be calling the different classes function. So Scala, we use one class is a main class, like one object is a main function, and there you can call the different classes functions you can call. Okay. Okay, so I start from the basics fundamentals of the Scala. Okay, so here like I simply told like okay, main object you define main function and you can type, you can write your code inside the main. And main is the entry point from where your execution will start. Where to use Scala? Scala can be used with the web applications. So web applications, right? You can write Play is a UI framework. Play Play is a UI framework, like similar to the Angular and other React kind of framework. So Play is a UI. So we can use the web application with the Play is a UI and backend is a Scala. Okay. So backend is a Scala, similar to Java we use in the Spring Boot application. For Angular and React is the front end. So we can use the web application using the Scala. Other utilities, libraries, and data streaming with Akka. Akka framework is for multi-processing, like similar to the multi-threading application, similar to the multi-threaded application. We can use the Akka. But these are not in the use in the data engineering. Like mostly Scala, we use just plain application where we are using Scala for the Spark application. Parallel batch processing and other advantages are there. So type inference is when you are not specifying the type explicitly, that is basically the type inference. Automatically, it will take the type of the variable. Okay. Singleton, the Scala, like there is no static keyword, no static variable method. So okay, so Scala, the object is a singleton. So Scala uses a singleton as an object. Okay, so object has the main function, and we can directly invoke this, and this is a singleton and it's a immutable. Okay, and immutability I told about like val we define the immutable. Okay, and var is mutable. So Scala use the immutability concept. Okay. Lazy computation. So Spark is completely lazy because Scala is inherited lazy computation in the Spark. So the computation is a lazy is the default provided by the Scala. Okay, so when on demand you call action, so you will trigger the transformations. So, right, the same concept lazy is there in the Scala. Case classes and pattern matching. So case classes, like it's a immutable by default. Case classes. So case class is used for the pattern matching. Pattern matching is nothing but like a switch case, right? We can, based on the our type of object, like we can perform action. So switch case pattern matchings we can use using the Scala. Concurrency control, right? This is Akka, right? I already talked about, right? So Akka is a framework which is providing the multi-threaded applications. So for concurrency purpose we use. String interpolation, right? From the Scala 2.10 onwards, like we can use, like suppose I'm writing in the double quote and some variable I want to print. I say, hello, this is my value. And I'm saying dollar variable, well, okay, some variable name. So interpolation is the same thing like in the Python, other programming language there. So we are using S for string, float, and raw values. We can replace the value, right? So this value will be replaced here. Okay. High order function. When function passes a parameter or function returning as a parameter, that is high order function. And it is very important concept in the Scala, Python, Java. Every programming language has this high order function. High order function, generally we pass function as a parameter or function we can return as a parameter. So some examples are there. Map function is a high order function. Map, filter, okay, flat map. These all are the default higher order function. These are the inbuilt higher order functions. So somebody's asked you like what are the inbuilt higher order functions? So map. So this map is taking function as another function as a parameter. How to connect database? See, database we can connect like a JDBC code we can do. You write a JDBC program. So how you write in the JDBC program in the like a Java, right? So you write some you have a driver manager dot get connection, right? Driver manager dot get connection, and you are providing the URL, username, password. Okay, URL. So similar APIs are there, right? Like same like driver manager class, because whatever classes you use Java, you can use it the classes there in the Scala, but only syntax of the Scala you will use. So driver manager dot get connection, you passing the URL, username, password, and you get the connection object. And after getting the connection object, you create a statement object, right? And then you create a, but every time you will use here, like here you generally give connection interface reference you give in the Java. So here what you will do, you will remove this and you will use well. The only thing is you have to remember whatever Java code you are writing, you can easily convert into the Scala. So wherever left side part, you just change it to val or var. Okay. And then now next is after getting the connection, I will create a statement object. Again, value type stmt. Suppose I'm creating a statement object, connection dot create a statement, create a statement object. After creating a statement, then I will do statement dot execute query or execute a, like I can do. So I will get the result set, right? RS. Okay. So I will do stmt dot execute query, and I will pass the query like my select query. So I will get the result and then while dot rs dot next. So loops, everything is the same way you can write rs dot next, and then you will be iterating the values and then you can print the data. Okay, so that way we can connect, but we need a driver jar, we need a JDBC APIs jar, right? Library jar. So those like a form dependencies you have to use. Okay, for JDBC is no specific jar is required because JDBC is the comes with the Java. So Scala also you can use it. Okay, but you have to use a driver connection jar, right? You have to use MySQL connector jar. So that jar should be there in your class. Otherwise, your because one statement I forgot here, so we have to do class dot for name. So class dot for name, you say my MySQL or JDBC ODBC JDBC driver. Okay, so that JDBC something class driver class. So this class should be dot driver. Okay. So this class you should be like loading into the memory. So you have to do. Is it clear? This is similar way like we do the JDBC. Trait is similar to the interface like in the Scala, like but trait is giving a more enhancement feature, enhanced one, because it's providing abstract and non-abstract method both. Interface in the Java is just providing the method prototypes. So once you define a class, just to define an interface, okay, I say interface X and I define some method public void display. Okay, and this method I need to override it because it's compulsion, right? If I'm using some class y implements and X. Okay, in the Java we have to override the behavior of this function because here is no body, it is just prototype. So here you are just writing the body. Okay, in the Java you do like this, and all the methods of the interface you have to override, that is compulsion. Okay, but in trait, right, you are defining it's a similar like a abstract class where you can have abstract and non-abstract methods. So what is the difference between the interface or abstract class in Java? Interface is a purely abstract, it's 100% abstract. Okay, you cannot write any, but in the Java 8, right, they provided a one like a default method, you can keep it. Okay, but before so this default method, right, otherwise interface is providing the method abstract method, but abstract class is concrete and abstract method both are there. So generally abstract class we use where I am not sure right now what method I need to implement, but in future it can be implemented. Okay, suppose I'm taking an example of car. So car is logical things, right? Car I not say physical, right? But when I say particular model of the car or particular person of the car, then I say this car is a one physical instance. Right? Okay. So when I say what now the car, so basic car properties will be there. Okay, basic car property will be there because I know the car should have the wheels, car should have the steering, everything. These the basic properties. But some security system I know, right? In some ordinary car is not there, but costly car have the security and good features are there, right? So those features can be implemented in future, but right now not there. So I can use the abstract class. Okay, an abstract class instance you can't create. You cannot create an object because it's not physical, right? Car is a logical. So here you will extend this car, okay, in the my car and say extends car. And if you are not overriding the method, you will make it this class also abstract class. Okay, so that will be the chain basically. In the trait, in the Java there is no multiple inheritance concept, but through interfaces we can provide the multiple inheritance. In Scala also we cannot extend two classes. Okay, we can extend one class only, but trait is a way like we can implement multiple traits. So one trait I can extend, another trait I can use with class I can implement. Okay, I will talk about more on the trait, okay, like when we going through the object-oriented concept. And this set of the collection, right? All the collections mostly we have in Java. Similar collections are here also. We have list, set, map, sequence, okay, and these all types of collections are there in the Scala as well. Okay. Okay. So I have told about how to write a object, right? So simply you just copy this object and then you can, or you can type it also. Okay, and then after you want to run, so you will be scala example dot main null. So you will get the output. Okay, so this way you can, and mutable variable. Okay, so Scala has the var and val. I already discussed about that. So when you're defining any variable with the var, you can change it. There is no error. Okay, but when you are defining immutable variable like using the val, if you try to change, it will give you the error, assignment error. Okay, what are the data types are there? So in Java, we use all these data types, but Java has primitive and object both, but Scala have all are the object. Scala, everything is the object. Okay. So Scala has the Boolean, byte, short, char, int, long, double, float, string. Okay. In the Java, we have object as well as primitive. Okay. Conditional operator, right? So it's very, very simple, like simple condition I'm writing here, the where, like age variable value. And if I'm checking, this is a simple if condition in the Java or Scala, we can write it. Okay, so
Excuse
it
me.
will print. Yeah.
It's not case sensitive, right?
No, no, no.
Okay.
Okay. So here is um, like here, like if I'm writing a if else condition. So if else condition, I'm defining the one variable and I'm checking whether the modulo operator. So if it is coming reminder is 0, is my even number, otherwise it's odd number. Okay. So it's a straightforward code, and if you have practice of the writing Java code, so you can quickly write code. It's a similar if else and those things. Only thing you have to remember here where and val. Okay, so defining any variable, you have to use where or val. Okay, so you can write code like this. If you have multiple if else condition, so you can define if else condition you can define. So if else if you can define. So this is a very straightforward code. Okay, so I should use, because space is there, that is the reason it's problem. So I should use, yeah. Okay, so A grade is coming when the value is 85. So this is the AND double ampersand operator, or pipe, double pipe is for or operator. So we know in Java or other programming language, so AND double AND, it's an AND condition. So both will be true, then only it will come inside the if. Okay, so this is okay, this is a ternary operator. So in the Scala, we can use a ternary operator like this. If A is greater than 0, then 1, or else -1. So I can write it as a function. So if it is a single line, I don't need to use braces. So I showed you, right? I write a function by using the braces, right? I use braces and equal sign right here. If you seen here, I written like equal and braces sign we can use. But when you are using single ternary operator, if your directly value is coming into your this function return value is the calculation of this if else condition. So you can directly call your function and pass the value. Okay, so I can simply run. Okay, Okay, so -1 is coming. Okay, depending on the condition, it is a negative value. Okay, so this is pattern matching. So pattern matching is, I told about like we can use case class, okay, or without case class also we can use pattern matching. So pattern matching is just simply some variable and I'm just matching. So I'm matching my case. So if I'm saying this a value is 1, then it will print 1, and 2, this will print or default. Like in the Java, there's a switch case is there. Switch we define and case we give. But here is in Java, in Scala, there is a very special type is there, any. So any can take it any type of value. So it automatically detect the value. Suppose your value is coming string. So any will be, when you are not sure what type of value can go in your function. Okay. So then you definitely go for any. And when you don't know what type of value you want to return, go for any. So it will not complain. Whatever type of value will return by the function, it will accept, or whatever type of value is accepting in the function, it will accept. So when you are not sure about the type, like what you can get the function type value, or you can return value type, so you can define any. Okay. So this underscore is used for the default, right? If I say if value is not matching, it will take it that particular one. So I show you object and this is very straightforward code. So nothing is there very complicated. So here is if I'm giving this hello as a string value, so my type will be taken as a string. Okay, so hello is coming. Okay, so if I'm just giving the value is a 1, I'm passing the value 1. Yeah.
To execute that, the main object function, can you pass, instead of passing no, can you pass something as a string?
Okay, but that will be even you can pass it, but it will not do anything. But string you will pass, then it will give error, right? Because you have to pass the array type of values. You have to pass like this array of value. Okay, if I pass, okay, you are saying
Yes.
like this, it
Yes.
will give the error, right?
Okay. Okay. Can so
Okay,
this.
sorry. First I corrected.
Okay.
That is not the error. Error is this one. Okay. See, here it's saying found string hello. Okay. It's a single value is getting, but it needs array of type. Array of type values, string array types is getting. So if you want to pass the null, the other way is null is a value like defined to the object as a list. Okay. But if you want to string values to pass, then you create an array type. Right? So you can give it like this. See, now it's not complaining. This
But it's
this
redundant.
value is not this. Okay,
It's
I give
redundant.
something else yg. Okay, so I'm not accepting. I'm just passing the value, but my function,
You're not
my
using.
main function is not taking that value.
It's not
Suppose
using
if I want to take the value, okay, here, suppose I'm taking the value this one. So how to take the argument value? I say, okay, I say here args of 0, args of bracket 0. Like this I should give. So args 0 I gave, so whatever I pass, that will be taken. So you can make it dynamic rather than hard coded. You don't need to change every time. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to see. Okay.
Yeah. So now your program is flexible, right? Okay. So it will behave automatically main object or main, and you say new array of, I'm passing the one value.
Does it have to be new array? Or just any
Array you can do.
array? Whoa.
So you are, it is accepting the string. Even you cannot pass the value because this is a string type. See here, this is a string type. So you cannot pass the, so you want to pass it in the this one.
Oh.
Okay. Double code you pass. Now it's accepting the value 1. Once the value come is 1 here in the here result, and it is checking here in the search function, it is passing. So search is taking 1, and 1 means, but it's still coming no. Why? because this one is a string type value. Okay, so you have to convert into the integer. Okay, so what you do, just do dot to int. Okay, but the thing is, like, again, you have to define the type, and based on the type, because integer you will not do for the string, right? For string value you will not do. Okay, now C1 is coming now. Okay, okay, if you are giving a string value, because number format, right? So that handling you have to do. This is the try catch handling, exception handling.
Because you converted to integer.
Hmm?
Yeah. But can you make the function instead of array string, can you make an array int? If you expect to
What
use
I do? Array of
int. Instead of, if you're expecting.
Oh, okay. You mean to say, okay, like this, right?
Yes. No, but in the function itself, in the main function itself, can you, because you define the function as string, you will have a problem.
This one, this
Yes.
one.
Yes.
This one you can't change. You don't have control, right?
It has to be string all the time.
This is not my own function. I can't change it. Okay.
Okay. So that's it
Like,
becomes,
for your use, you cannot change it.
becomes,
Okay, for your
becomes
use,
a
you can't
problem
change.
then.
See, it is what is saying, because the main function has the type is the input is like in string only. See what does it's saying? Exact signature is needed. Exact signature.
Yeah.
Okay. So you cannot change the signature of the main function for your use. You cannot change. Okay. So you have to change your code, not the function. You cannot change. Okay.
You have to restructure your code to make sure it works. Okay.
But you can use dynamically, right? So the main application, but here you have to do some case handling, right? Like, okay, your value is coming string.
If it's int, do this.
Yeah. Okay, so case class is one, right? I can define some case classes like this. Okay, so this is also using the pattern matching. So I can define the match is here, right? Okay, so I'm creating a, so one trait I created, and that trait I'm just extending, the different case class is extending those traits. Okay, so I define one function. This function is taking as a object, as a parameter, is taking as an object parameter, but which type of object depending on what I call. Okay, so when I'm calling, I'm just passing. Okay, when I'm calling, I created a two object, one for dog, one for cat, and when I'm passing in my animal sound, so whichever object will call, like it's a polymorphism, right? In the Java we know, right, there is a runtime polymorphism. Whatever the child class object we assign, it will call the method of the child class. Okay, the same thing is here, right? So here, when I pass it, this one dog, so I'm getting this one. Okay, and this is a string interpolation, right? This is string interpolation, right? I'm using S for replacing this dollar name. The value is coming. Okay, so this name is value is here, and I'm calling that the case is dog. So I'm here using the pattern matching with using the case class. Okay, so case class, I created the instance, two instance of like I created. Okay, so I created a two instance of the two different case class, and then I'm using it. Okay, so this is the example of the pattern matching using the case class. Okay, so we can define.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you explain the first option? Like there is a sealed trait animal, is that right? Can you please explain?
Just is that trait means okay, like I'm not keeping it any function in the this trait, right? I can define trait with the function also. I can create like this, and some
animal
parent.
Is animal a string or is a statement? I don't know.
No, this is just a type of trait. Like it's like a one component is there. Like I can just similar to the class, right? Trait is not a, like a variable. It's like a similar to the class object, right? Okay, so trait is like there you can have the functions the who is inheriting the trait, they will provide the functions. Okay, they will provide the implementation similar to the abstract class and interfaces, right? Okay, so I'm just defining because it's like a parent. Okay, animal is a parent, and they are whoever is implementing, they will provide its own implementation. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, if I don't use this, so how I can make sure, right, which one I'm calling, right? Because that's the thing, right? Okay. So I'm just passing the object, and depending on the object, right? Like which animal. So this animal you are using here, right? If I don't use this extend, okay, if I don't use, can you use this one, this function with this? No, we can't use it, right? So I have to use this trait so that I can pass a parent reference, and the parent reference will use it to get the value of the child. Okay. And then it will call accordingly. It will call accordingly. Okay. So Java Scala doesn't have any interface concept. Okay. Java has interface and abstract class, and Scala has abstract class and abstract class and the trait. Okay. So we can create a case class. Generally, these case classes are used to create, like when we have some set of properties, and this set of properties I want to create an object. I don't need to create a separate class, and then I can define function and properties. So it will be very lengthy way. So case class is a very short way. Just you create a case class, class name, and define property. So when you are calling the object, right, you are creating an object, it will set the properties. Okay, and when you want to get it, simply you are saying John.name. So you will get the name, you will get the age, right? So you don't need to create a setter getter method explicitly. You know, in the Java POJOs we use, right? So similar to POJO, you can correlate here case class. Okay. So we don't need a setter getter for the POJOs, right? We can create a setter getters is the by default. So in Scala, like, okay, so we can keep it a copy of the clone of the object also of the case class. So this copy function is there. Okay. And we can use for the pattern matching. So pattern matching is like, you can, based on the properties, right? So you can, like, you can call the case object, you can go. So case class have case object, and case class using the properties for setting the values and getting the values, whatever you pass it. Okay. So loopings are there in Scala. There are the different loops are there. Okay. So control statement, we call it control statement. So we can use the while loop. Simple while loop is there. So it will check the condition, and then if condition is matched, then it will print the value. So it's a simple statement. So you can print the values of A. Okay, so this is just matching the condition first. So this is the infinite loop one. Okay, if you want to use do while is at least once it will run, whether the condition is matching or not matching. So at least once it will run. Okay, so that is the same like in Java. Okay, there is no difference. Okay, I put it here semicolon, but it is not needed. Okay, if you put it semicolon, it will not be a problem. Okay. Okay, Scala for loop. For loop are having various variations are here. So for loop is like, suppose you have some range, right? You say 1 to 10. Okay. So 1 to 10, like your value will start from 1 and will go to the 10. Okay. So for loop, the 10 will be included, but until the 10 will not be included. So when you print this 1 to 10, here it will print 1 to 9, and here it is print 1 to 10. Okay. So you can print the range, right? So in the Python, we have range function, right? So similar way here in the Scala. Range is here also, range also there. Okay. Main object. Main null. Oh. Okay. So 10 is included. Okay. When I use until, when I say main object. So syntax is pretty easy, not Getter setter method is used for the setting the values and getting the values. So you have you can write a condition also like this. If 1 to 10, if a modulo 2 is 0, then you can print the even numbers. Okay. So not equal to 0, you will get the odd numbers. Okay. Or you can write if else condition. Okay. So you can write the even and odd number you can do. So this way also you can write. Okay. So for loop, there is a yield function is there. So yield function is, it is not returning the value immediately. Okay, suppose you are starting the loop 1 to 10. So first value is 1, it will be stored in a buffer. So yield function is used to store the value in a buffer, and once the loop is completed, you will return the value. Okay, the total value as a collection. It will be coming as a collection. Okay, so if I say first value is 1, it will go to the A. 2, it will go to the A, 3, go to the A, and finally you got the value 1 to 10, and then it will become a collection. And now you can print the collection. So when you print the result, so you will get 1 to 10 value. Okay. So this is, now you will see that how you can use this yield. So what is a real-time use of the yield is, if I say I want to reverse a string. So generally in the Java or other programming language, what you do, you can use Python slicing, you can use, or in the Java, you can use reverse for loop. You can start from the string length to -1, right? So you can print one by one character. Okay. But here I'm running a loop, reverse loop I'm running. I'm starting the loop from the string length -1 because index is starting from the 0. So string length -1 to 0 minus by -1. By default is, this is incrementing +1 by 1. It is by default. But suppose you want to reverse a loop, okay, reverse the variable values by -1. So you have to give by -1, -2, -3, anything you can give. But here we need -1. And yield I'm doing string of I. So whatever values is coming, I'm just keeping it in the buffer. And finally, I'm creating a MK string. MK string, I'm making it string because it is set of characters. What it is giving? It is giving set of characters, list of characters. But list of characters, I want to print all characters or I want to print a single string. So I'm just creating here MK string. Okay, then it will print my reverse of string. Or if you want to print all characters, simply in the for loop itself, you can print the one by one, like you can say print str of I. So immediately you print, so you will get all the characters, you can print it. That is the another way you can do. Okay. But I want to print as a string. So that is the reason I'm using the yield function. So can you see here, this is coming. This is a reverse of a string. Okay. So I created a function. I can create as a function also. I can create a function because I want to use it multiple times. So what I can do, def reverse string, and I pass some string data, right? Str of string type. Okay. And it will be a return of the string. Okay. So I will define the function, and this body I will write it in the this thing I will write it in the here. So I don't need to define some variable because it is automatically return, right? It is return. It is a return statement, right? Because it is an expression. It is an expression. So I can call this function. Okay. Now I want to use this function, reverse string. Now you can reuse this function. I say my hello. Okay, it is converting. Okay, so this function you can put in the class and you can call as a, so that way you can do. Okay, but this is the way of writing function. Okay, and for loop, like you can have any collection object, right? Okay, how to create a list, site, set, array. So you can use that keyword. Suppose I want to create a integer list. I want to create integer values list. So simply you can define integer value. I want to create a list of string values. So I will write like this, hello. Hi. So this is my string list. Okay. But the iteration is the same. how to iterate it? For loop. I will use for loop. I say I want to print 1 by 1 string. So I will use this arrow sign and I say my collection list. And then I say here print str. So this code will print the values in this list. So this list could be a set, or this could be a array, anything you can define. And what type of you want to define? So it
Excuse
will
me.
be based on the values.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The list on the variable list, so the small l, on the other side is an array, capital L. You say it's not case sensitive, but is it not the same?
This is a variable, right? So here left side, this is the APIs. Okay, it will not give any problem.
You will not give problem?
Okay, you are saying if I create like this, okay, let's see.
Because I understand it's not case sensitive. That's what I'm asking you. In Python, you can do that because it's case. See?
Okay. So it is understanding here the recursive list type. Okay.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
it's case sensitive then.
Yeah. So I cannot use generally. This is a convention, right? We generally any programming language we have a convention, right? We should not use any keyword, right, for our variables, right?
Exactly.
We should not use. That's a naming convention, right? Okay. So when I'm defining any like type of data, right? Like okay, say I want to create a variable of int. Okay. So it's not a good practice, right? It should not be recommended, and it is not.
But I'm saying you can define another variable list, no, maybe I list or M list, my list or whatever. Just to differentiate.
So yeah, it's printing. Okay. So we should always keep it with a different name. Okay, so for each also there in the one more for loop is there for each. For each is taking it value 1 by 1, but you can write some custom code inside the braces. Okay. So in this for loop also you can write a condition. Okay, you can give some additional condition you can give. But in the for each you can write braces and you can write multiple statement. Okay, so you can define. So here I'm just using println. Okay, so I'm taking each value of this, okay, and then printing. Suppose I want to do some manipulation on this element. So I'm taking each element. Here I'm using the lambda. This is scala lambda. So scala lambda, I'm using the anonymous function. So anonymous function is equal greater than sign, and I'm just saying with this element I want to append some other value. I say test. Okay, so something I want to append it. Okay, so I just create this main object. So one test, test 2, test 3, test 4, right? How it is coming. So these values are like I'm keep suffixing, right? I'm doing. So you can write any statement you can write, or you can write the braces also you can write. You can write the braces and then you can write the multiple statement. So for each, for the iteration, you can iterate. Okay. Or like I told you, by default is a 1, but you want to change the increment, right? You can change by 2, okay, or by 3, like any number you can change. Okay. Break is there, break and continue. Okay, so break is basically you will come out from the any of your condition, you can come out. So you have to put it in the breakable. So breakable is a clause. In this breakable clause, you have to put your breakable part. So whatever part is your breakable, just put in the breakable. Okay, and then it will come out. But you have to use this import statement. So without using import statement, it will not work. Okay. Okay, so it is coming out at the 3. 1357. So it is by 2 we are implementing. That is the reason when 7 it came out. Okay. Yeah. So 135 is printed. Comment, the single line comment is same Java, double slash, or multi-line comment is a slash star star slash. This is a multi-line comment. So multi-line comment we can use, or Scala we can use single line comment. And single line comment we can use like this also. So this statement is not part of comment. Like whatever I'm writing after the double slash, it will be the comment. Okay. So this is all done for the basic fundamentals loop function loop. Okay. So next thing is functions we have to cover. Okay. So there are the different functions are there. So Scala functions. Okay. So in the 10-minute break, I will start. Okay. Hello.
Arvind, listen.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start the functions. Okay. So we covered the fundamental part, right? How to define variable, data types, and the other thing is like loops and conditional statements, right? So next is the function, right? How to define the function and how many different types of function categories are there in the Scala. So function is we defining tab keyword with function name, parameters, list of parameters, and colon type of parameters. So parameter, colon type of parameter, and comma delimited character we can use, and return type of function, and then we can define the body. Okay. So we can call the functions, and we can define the function outside the main or inside the main, so it can be called. Okay. So there is a scope is there, right? There is no public scope is there. So in the Scala, we have private, protected, and no modifier. So if I'm not specifying any modifier, right? Modifier is defining the scope of the object, right? Or function. Okay. So if I'm not defining here, if I'm saying private def, so it will be use only the class. You cannot access outside the class. Okay. Protected can be used child class, right? Child class in the same package or different package we can use. Okay. And other one is a no modifier. So no modifier and public both are same in the Scala. So there is no explicit keyword is public. Okay. But in the Java, we have public and no modifier, both are separate. Okay. So public has the higher access in Java, but here is the public and no modifier, both are same. So if I'm creating a function, and this function, the return value is this, right? Because I just directly writing the value a, right? So that will be written as a return from the function. Okay. So how can we make it function parameterized? So we can pass the values as a parameterized to the function. So we can give it the values to the function, and then function can use those parameters. So formal parameter and actual parameters, right? Okay. So this is the actual and this is the formal, right? Like we can pass it. Okay. So Scala, we can use recursion function. Okay. So recursion is like when function calling itself, that is called recursion. Okay.
Excuse me.
So
Before
yes.
before you go to the next one, in this function where you pass parameters, you define it as 10 and 20. What happens if you want to make it dynamic at runtime? If you want to pass parameters at runtime?
You want to pass the parameter runtime?
At runtime, yes. When you want to execute this function. When
So
I
here
call,
we have to take it.
I-
See, the same args value, you have to take it, and then you have to in type, you have to convert, and then you can pass it.
no, but you are passing directly here at this point, function 10 and 20. That's hard coded. Can you make
So
it
I can make it like this: args
Yes.
0.2 okay, and second one is a args
okay? That's
1.
yeah.
See, this is more modifications we can do. That's up to us, right? Okay, this is just here function example.
To be familiar with the modifications because some of these things are new to some of us.
Yeah. See, because this dynamic thing, anytime you can need it, because this is the whatever I showed, that is regular, right? That is common practice, but we have to extend it like more dynamic, right?
Yes.
When I want to, because I don't want to modify again and again for my input.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So
just
now
press the numbers, so you run. Yes.
So I define here. Array of 2 values.
Yes.
1.
Correct.
Okay, so now it's dynamic. Okay.
Yes.
But in case of a string, like if I'm not doing, if I'm giving some string value, then it will be breaking here. So actually that I have to check the condition, right? Okay. So I have to check like if some exception things.
Can we have an example with case in that instance, so that we don't run into problem if it's a string or int?
Can
we have an example with a case statement for the argument?
Yeah, case statement we can do, right? We can do with the case, right? We can do the
for the argument. How do you do that for the argument?
Yeah, I will tell about that case statement. Okay. We can check the type, right? We can check the type.
Exactly. Yeah. How do you how to do that?
Okay. So I'm telling about here the okay, recursion. So recursion is basically I want to call the function itself, right? So I can call the function. The same function I'm calling here as a recursive function. Okay. So when I'm passing the 2 values in the function, okay, and here the condition is in the function. So because recursive function, we need to AND, right? We have some condition there, my function should be ANDed, right? So how that condition will be written here, right? So here I'm just giving for the B condition. The B value I'm checking here, if it is 0, then the value is 0. And else I'm calling the recursive function again. So what I'm doing here, a plus function example, this recursive function, and a, and then I'm just making it less than 1 value in the B value. So when the B will become 0, then your function will be ending. Okay. So when I call this function, when I call this recursive function, so here I'm getting 30. So 15,2 is called first time. So 15, so 15 plus 15,1. Next time it will be 15 plus 15 plus 15,0. So 15,0, then it will come out, it will be giving a 0. B equal 0, and it will give the 0. So my sum will be 15 plus 15 plus 0. That will be 30. So this way I have used the recursive. Suppose I want to write a recursive for the okay, I want to write a recursive for the factorial. How I can change the code? Okay, so how to define the factorial? I will define a factorial by using the some one parameter, right? Factorial is taking only one. So first of all, what is a factorial? So factorial of 5 is 120. How it is coming? 5 multiply 4 multiply 3 multiply 2 multiply 1. right? That is my factorial of 5. Okay, so it is doing the multiplication of the number decrement by 1, right, till the value 1. So if I want to write this logic in my factorial function, and I want to call this factorial as my recursive, okay, so I want to call the factorial for the 5. So what change I have to do in this code? First of all, what should be because here is no B, only A. So what should I write a condition here? A
Yes.
of 1, because
One.
there is no chance of 0, right? It will be 1, right? Because we have to end it the 1. Okay, so I will make it when 1 will come, I will return my 1. I will return the value 1. Okay, otherwise what I will do, A multiply fact of -1, A -1, fact of A -1, right? So
Right.
whatever A value is there, so what I'm doing first, 5 into fact of 5 minus 1. Next time is 5 into 4 into fact of 3. 5 into 4 into 3, fact of 2. 5 into 4 into 3 into 2, fact of 1. And when fact of 1 will come, it will give 1. So I will get the result
How about if
5
A,
into 4 into
how about if A is less than or equals to 1?
A.
Yes, for the escape. A
Here.
instead of equals to 1, can you make it A less than or equals to 1? For the escape.
Okay. -1 we gave, right? Like
No.
this.
No. At the level of function, the very if statement, if A equals to 1, can it be if A is less than or equals to 1? Yeah.
So less than equal to 1, right? So suppose if it is coming 0, right? So it will become,
Yes.
like it will become make entire value 0, right? We cannot make it less. We have to restrict.
If it's less than or equals to 1, if it's
Hmm?
if it's 0, you don't want to perform that.
Yeah, because it will change my factorial, right? Because right, if it is
Yeah, you
I'm
don't want to
making it.
perform that. Okay.
So
Okay.
see, always factorial condition is equal to 1, right?
It's decreasing by 1, so there's no chance of being okay.
Yeah, so I want to automatically come out. I want to automatically come
Yes.
out on the 1. I don't want to go
No.
less than.
There's no chance
1.
of it. Yes.
Yes. Otherwise, my factorial logic will like completely change, right? Like, right? So I'm just calling this. Okay. Now I call my main class.
Oh man. I will just copy the one above and paste what you have above instead of typing all the time and making mistake.
What I typed it. Main
No,
object.
the one you have on top, the one you run before. Yeah. No, and that's a terminal.
1 second. This is the okay. Oh, what is the error is coming? Object. This is the main object.
It's in terminal. There is a typo here. I think.
Get a typo though. What I'm saying, just copy the first one that worked, and then instead of typing it all the time.
It is correct, right? No.
Yeah, it is correct, but when you type all the time, you make mistake.
Yeah, typo was there. Yeah.
You can just copy that main object main.
Yeah. So this is giving the 120, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to make it dynamic, then I can pass it the command line parameter. I can pass it, right? So then I can take it dynamic.
But you still have the same problem if somebody makes mistake and put an integer. If you resolve it with a case. You test the input first, the argument. Because if you're writing a function to be used externally, you want to be able to control what the input to the function, isn't it? So that in the case that if you forget to put a string and put a number, it doesn't come out with error.
Yeah, we can check the type. Based on the type, we can do that.
That will help a lot, because otherwise it will not just be.
So here is like a Fibonacci series I'm creating. Okay. So Fibonacci series I'm doing the like here with the case, right? So this is also recursive. So in this recursive, what I'm doing, I'm passing as an input parameter. Okay. And I'm returning the integer as output. Okay. So if my two cases are there where I want to return the same value, if case is 0, I want to return 0. I don't want to do anything, right? I simply return the value 0. If case is 1, I want to return 1. But if the value is not 0, suppose the 0 is there, you will give 0. If 1 is there, 1 is there. Okay, but when 2 is there, in that case, you will use this default case. And this default case, what you will do, Fibonacci of 2 minus 1 and 2 minus 2. So basically it is doing the sum of 2 minus 1 will become 1 and 1 is giving the 1. And when you are doing 2 minus 2, that will become 0, then it will give 0. So in this case, like it will be doing recursive sum it will do. So when I do the 10, so it will do all the addition of the all 10 values. Okay. So okay, so when I'm giving the input 10 here, so it is doing the sum for the 10 Fibonacci number. Okay, so if default value you want to keep it in the function, so if you have some lesser parameters you are passing, okay, so you can specify the default value by using the equal. You can define the default. If your value is passed, it will be taken. If it is not passed, then it will take the default. So here is a 2 parameter both you are passing. So it will come the result 17. But here you are passing only 1, right? So 15 plus 0. And here you are not passing anything. So you will have 0 plus 0. Okay. So you will be defining the 17, 15 and 0. Okay, so this is straightforward. Some named parameter, if you want to map to the variable by using the named parameter, you can use it name, okay, instead of the index. So index means whatever the first value will go to the A and second value will go to the B, okay. But if you want to use name, so you can shuffle, right? Even if you are giving A or B or B or A, both will be same, okay. But in case of index parameter, it will go in a sequence. Okay, so we can use the named parameter. So named parameter will be taking a name. Okay, so high order function. So high order function is when we are passing function as a parameter. Okay, so then this function multiply to is a like one function which is doing the multiply. Okay, so I'm passing this multiply to is a harder function. I'm passing as another function. Okay, and another function I'm just calling it, and that will be giving the result to the outer function. Okay, so it will be called as a harder function. Okay, actually it's a composition, is written the wrong one. It is not harder. Actually I have to write okay, so I write it harder function. Suppose I have a list of some values. So here I'm using lambda. So I'm just defining I'm taking an input parameter, is an integer type. And here I'm using the lambda to define the function body. So y multiply 3. Okay. And I want to apply map is a function which is higher order function. Okay. So this list I will apply the map function. So I'm applying each value of this list. I want to call this multiply function. And I want to pass the parameter. So what it will do? It will take each parameter, each value of this list on this map function, and map function is taking another function as a parameter, and it is calling the multiply of 3. So it will give me the list of values, same number of element I will get, because map is returning the same number of elements. So if you have a 3 values in your input in the list, right, so you will get the 3 values, but that the result will be the multiply of 3 for each values. Okay. So when I call it, so I will get the list of 15, 18, 21. So the higher order function is, so which function is a higher order function here? The map function. So instead of this map, I can create one more function I can create. My own function I can create, and that function will be giving as a function as a parameter. Okay. So I'm calling as a function as a parameter. Okay. And then I'm getting the result. Okay. So that is basically higher order function. So this higher order function is there in Python decorator. So decorator pattern is there in the Python that is used to add additional logic, right? You can pass it to the function on the runtime. So you can take the output of the higher order function. Okay. So another is the compositions, right? Okay, anonymous function. Anonymous function is a lambda. So lambda is a function without name. There is no name, but you want to define the body of the function. So you can use lambda. Okay, and then there you can define the body. So you have 2 parameter. Okay, so you can use either this underscore sign, or you can use this rocket sign you can use. Okay, equal greater than sign. You can do, both are giving the same result. Okay. So anonymous function, you can write it. Okay, so both are giving the same result. Either you can pass it this underscore for each value. So underscore is for a value and underscore for the b. Okay, so individual values you can access by using the underscore wildcard character. Currying is another type of function in the Scala. Like when you want to have some lesser parameters for your function. So generally you function, you define in the single bracket, you define all parameters, right? Comma separated. But here is, we are passing as a parameters, separate parameter as a bracket. Okay. So suppose I have 3 values to sum. Okay. So I want to do 2 values sum now, and the third value I want to add it later. Okay. So you can use the currying. Currying is like basically you have a fewer number of parameter list, and this will yield a function taking the missing parameter, and later on, like when you have your existing result, right, then you can add the additional parameter. So here is, I'm calling my currying here. So if you have both the parameter, you can directly pass. Okay, 10, 10, I'm passing 10 value and 10 value. But if I have a one parameter now, so I have created currying here. I call currying here one parameter, and whatever result is there, I pass the next parameter. Okay, but you have to use continuation sign here, underscore. Okay, then only it will take it next one. So either you put it, either you give it both the values you give it. Suppose you have a 3 values. Okay, and you want to do a plus b plus c, but you have now 2 values, you have a and 13. Okay, so you have 2 values, 10 and 13, and third values will come later. Okay, so you can use it, or if you have third value here, so you can directly do. So this is also one way, and this is the second way, where you have the 2 parameters sum you are doing first, and continuation you are giving the third parameter. So you are giving
Add it is a built-in function.
add is not built-in function. Add it is like whatever your result. Right?
Okay, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Didn't say
So
that.
that is a result, right? Basically result variable. So you are using a result variable to pass the another parameter which is left. Okay, so you will get it.
That's unique.
Okay, so this is just a way of like a use case, right? Like, okay, suppose sometimes you are writing a long code and there you have initially only 2 parameter sum, but later on some calculation will give you the third parameter value. Okay, so what you can do, first you can calculate your 2 parameter value sum, but later on when your code will be giving you the third parameter value, then you can pass it to that and get the sum, right? So it is like a on demand, right? Okay, when I will get my third parameter, I will pass it. Okay. Okay, so both are giving same, right? Okay, so nested function is calling another function. So nested function. So this add function, it is having the another function add2. So when you're calling add function, you are passing 3 parameter A, B, C, and it is calling add2. So add2 is calling like add2 is passing the 2 parameter B and C and doing the sum, and whatever values is written again add2 is called again x plus y. So it is called nested function. Okay, so it will give the result. Okay, scala has the function with the variable length of parameters. So it's a very like a useful scenario, right? Like, okay, I don't know the how many parameters I can pass to my function as a variable. Okay, so in that case, I can use a variable length argument. I can define, if it is an integer type of values, I can use int star. If these are the string type of values, I can use string star. The another way of doing this by using the list. So list is a one other option is there. Suppose you have a list and list can have any size of the variable values are there. Okay, but I don't want to use list. I say I want to use it variable, but I don't want to create as a list, right? So in this function, if I define this function, so this is a dynamic case, right? Like, okay, if this one I'm passing with the lesser parameter values, okay, I say I want to pass it only these 3, and now I do println. I'm already getting the sum. Println sum 10 is coming. So you can change the number of variable values, right? So when you are changing it, so this is accepting how many values are, but this is type of list type. This is coming list, internally it is coming list. Okay, but here you don't need to specify how many variables are there. The variables are 1, 2, 3. So you are not manually defining. Otherwise, if I'm giving it here 2 variable, here 2 parameters, so I can pass it only 2. Okay, so I will get the error if I'm trying to give more number of parameters. But using the where arg, I can define int star, or like I can define, so this will become any number of variables it can take it. Okay, so that way we can use the variable length. Okay, so variable length of parameter.
Excuse me. Is there any use case where this is preferred to list?
Okay, where we should use the list or where we should use this variable length?
Yes, where we should use this instead of using a list. Because if you use the list, you get the same results.
Yeah, list we can use. See, like this here, I can take it list, and this list I can values I can take it of list from the command line.
Length, yes.
Yeah, command line we can take it the list, right? Okay, we can use it as a directly we can use here list and we can iterate the list. Okay,
Yes.
but variable length is we can say like I don't want to create the list, right? Because my use cases are just 2 variable or 3 variable. Okay, 2 variable and 3 variable, and those are like keep changing, right? Okay. Okay, so I don't need to create an entire list, right? List and then manipulate with the list.
Okay.
So a specific use case is not there because it's an alternate for the list, right? Like you can use list, array, anything we can use. Okay. So instead of list array, like we are keep changing the number of variable parameters. So for the less variables parameters, we can use the argument. So it's an alternate option, right? Okay, so you can use it the list also. Okay. Okay, next thing is the classes. Okay, so what is the class and objects and the other object-oriented programming concepts? So here we will see the trait also. Okay. So when I say the Scala object and classes, right? So generally in the object-oriented programming, right, we call class is a blueprint, class is a template, and class is defining the properties, behaviors, right? Constructor, nested classes, superclass, or those type of things we can define in the class. Okay, and object is this two types of objects. Like one object is which is an instance of the class. So that is called also object, right? When I say one class has one object one and object two. So object one has its own properties and on function it is calling, and object two it's having its own property. So object properties will be separate from one object to another object. Okay, so generally this object is called instance. Okay, so in the, because otherwise object will be confusing from the object is as a class type of construct or it's a like a instance. Okay, so when I say, when I'm creating any instance of the class, right, I say, well, my object, my instance equal to new my class. Okay, so this is instance. Okay, so this is an instance here. Okay, and another object is like where I'm defining the main function, that is a singleton. Okay, so that is starting my execution, because class I cannot start the execution because class is just for functions and properties, right? I'm defining the state and behaviors. So similar functions can keep together in a single class. So generally, if I say person is a class, so person related all the functions and properties, I'll keep it in a one class. If animal is a class, so generally class is, we are not mixing the one class function to the another class. So generally, as many as class we can create for our use cases, right? So if I know, right, I have to keep it this function together. So generally, if I say like I want to create, update, delete, all these functions I have to do for employee. So I will write those functions together in a single class. And though that class object or instance I will call, and I will call the functions. So that is the way like we do in the object-oriented programming. Okay. So we are defining the class, and here is a constructor. So primary constructor and secondary constructor is there. What is the use of constructor? Constructor is like it's initializing your instance. Initializing your instance. You are creating an instance here where s equal to new student, and this instance you want to initialize by using the constructor. So there are two ways. Like one is you create an instance and set the values manually, right? You are setting s.id and s.name. You are setting it, you can set in the class itself, or you can set it by using some setter function. So you can create a one setter function here and call that setter function on your instance, and then you can set the values. Okay, or you can manually set the values directly, but that is hard coded. But if you don't want to set it manually or setting using the setter function, you can use constructor. So there is a primary constructor is there. So primary constructor is you can define in the class declaration itself. In the class declaration itself, you define the values as a primary constructor. So if you don't have any constructor, so by default constructor is there. This is a default constructor. So this concept is the same in the Java, right? If you don't have the primary constructor, the default constructor will be called. And when you have a primary constructor will be there. So primary constructor will call, but primary will call first, second default internally. Okay. So here I'm calling by passing the parameter of my primary constructor. So the values will be set automatically. The first value will set in the ID and second value will be set in the name. And when I call the show function, I will get the value. Okay. So this is I'm defining a class, I'm defining an object, and instance of the class I'm creating in the object. This is my main function.
I I was thinking show is a built-in function. Is this? It's not.
Huh?
I was thinking show is a built-in function. You defined it.
Built-in function of which built-in function?
Sure. The show function, define show. I was thinking
Oh,
show.
this is not built-in. This is my custom, right?
Yes, it's custom. I was thinking it's built-in.
No. It's see class things. Whenever you are writing your own class, how can come built-in? Built-in can come in your class when you are extending some class. I'm not extending any class here, right? So if I'm extending class, then it is inherited. Okay. So if suppose I created a student class and now I'm creating a student one class, and this student one I'm extending student, then this show function will come there. I don't want to write again, right? Because show is already there, right? So that is the part of inheritance when we are extending the class. Okay. Yeah. But here I'm not extending class. So how can come the built-in function? Okay. Built-in function, you can use string functions, you can use built-in functions, right? You can use those functions. Even you cannot change their bodies also. Any function bodies you can't change because these are immutable functions, right? Like string functions are immutable. You can use those functions for your use case. Like I want to get substring, I want to use last index of, I want to use substring function, like get the part of the string. So I can use those functions, but I can't change the body of any function because those functions are immutable. So string class is an immutable class. You cannot change the function. You cannot change their function, but you can use those functions. So same concept is here, final class, final variable, and final method. Okay, I will come to that, right? Okay, so you have more restriction, right? When you want to don't allow your class to extend it, or you don't want to override your function of your class, or you don't want to change your variable value, so you can use the final. Okay. Okay, so here is if I'm creating a two instance here, student one, student two, both are having its own property, on values, on properties values are there. It cannot mix it. So student one will get the student object, and student two you will get the student two. Okay, but this function is whatever object you call it, it will get the value of that object. Okay, so that is basically your get function. Okay. So this get also my own function. This is a private property, you cannot access. Call it. So we are getting specific values of their objects. And anonymous object, like anonymous function is there, anonymous object is there. So anonymous object is simply nothing but instead of creating a separate instance, you just simply call inline function. So you say new arithmetic class, and I'm not creating a separate variable for that. If I write like this, where my instance equal to new arithmetic, like this. So I just avoid this. I avoided this. Like then I call instance dot add. So instead of that, I'm simply directly calling new arithmetic add. I can call. Okay. So this is anonymous object. Okay. What is a companion object and what is a companion class? Okay. So now we are coming to the different types of classes. Earlier we seen the category of the functions. Now the classes. So singleton is a one class and singleton object. So singleton is like basically the companion. Companion is like when the class and the method, class and the object both are having the same name. Okay. So when I say, actually I created here both the same. So when I keep it, okay, this is just case of like I'm creating a one main function. I'm creating an object. I'm creating an object with main function I'm creating. Even object, you can keep it function also. Okay, but another object you have to use for calling this function. Okay, So if I use companion, so companion is when I have my class and object both are having the same name. So I'm having a class name and object name both are same. So what is the use of this companion? Companion means like both can access to each other. So if I say my companion class can access my properties of the companion object, and companion object can access my property of the companion class. Okay. So actually I just give it names something like this because it will not confuse like this is the object or this is the class. So now I'm making it my companion class and companion object. So if you see here, my companion class has one string private variable, this str. I'm using it here. Okay, so I can access it here. Okay, and if my this hello of my class, I can call it by like this. Okay, so it is vice versa, right? Generally you cannot access like any class properties in the object without creating object, but here is like I can access because both are having the same name. So you can run this. So companion is like object and class both are having the same name. Here one. Okay, so why it is giving the error? Okay, this str is not here. This str. Companion. So this is object. In is I think let's see this. Keep it first the same. Here one is not there. This one hello function I'm calling here. This will is my class. Okay, here will come str1. Okay, so when I'm accessing here, hello, this is a companion class. So this hello, it is accessing this property, this private static property, this property I'm accessing. And when I'm saying through object, so I can access the str1. Okay. So I'm just accessing from the vice versa, right? I can access from the companion class to the companion object properties and companion object to the companion class properties. So I can access. Okay. So case classes and case object. So I can define the case class and then I can use for the case class for the pattern matching. So simply case class, I can create a case class and then I can create an object without using new operator. And then I can set the value of the case class. So I can set and I can get the value. So I can use directly case class. And if I define the case class, I can define here. So this examples I already explained, right? Like we can use like trait and then we can extend trait and then we can use the type of object we are using. So based on the number of parameters, like I'm specifying this case class 1 object, this is a case class 2, or this is without any parameter. So I'm just calling the different cases. Okay. So it is simply switch case statement. Okay. So Scala has the default primary constructor. Okay. So if I want to add another constructor, like my child class is defining the additional properties, so I can use secondary constructor, auxiliary constructor. So how to define the secondary constructor? I will create this function, and this function is taking my additional parameter, and I will be setting this value in this function. So when I'm calling this two parameters, these two parameters will be initialized by the primary constructor. Okay, and the third value will be initialized by this manually I'm setting it. So when I'm calling with the two parameter, so my parameter, the parameter is the primary constructor will be called. But when I'm calling for the 3 parameter value, okay, so then I can set. So by default, the age will be 0 because I'm not setting the age in my this constructor. So if I'm passing the 3 parameters, then it will be using 3. Okay, I change it. So this is 2. And when I'm giving here some age. Okay. So when I'm giving age, the age will be coming, whatever age I'm giving. If I'm not giving the age, so it will take the default age 0. Okay. So when I call it, okay, so 0 is coming. But now I'm using some age value. So it will call the secondary constructor, and secondary will be called primary. Okay, so the age value is coming. Okay, so this way we can constructor overloading. Okay, so we can have multiple constructors, right? So primary constructor, secondary constructor. So constructor overloading. This is example of constructor overloading. So the same one, right? When I'm passing the one parameter, is be calling directly the primary constructor only. But when I'm passing the 2 parameters, so it will be calling the secondary constructor. Okay. So Scala has the method overloading and overriding concept. Overloading happens in the same class. It's a polymorphism concept, one interface, many form. So you have a same function name with the different number of parameters and type of parameters. That is called overloading. So overloading happens in the same class where you have a same function name with the different parameters and type of parameters, different number of parameters and type of parameters. So what simply you are using here, you are taking the 2 parameter here and you doing the sum of 2 parameters. Here the parameters are 3, so you will be doing the sum of 3 parameters. So when I'm passing the 2 parameter, I will get called this function. And when I'm passing the 3 parameters, I will get called this 3 parameters one. So this is called overloading. And overloading happens in the same class, not parent child. And overriding happens in the parent child. Okay. So when I do, so generally overloading needed, like don't want to change the function name. Both are sum. Name of function is sum. but based on the parameter, I want call that particular sum function. Okay, so I want to keep it the name as add, but one is doing for the 2 number, one is doing 3 numbers, one can do the 4 number. So I can define the different sum add function. Okay, so this is the overloading. It's the same concept is there in the Java. So I will get the result. Okay, so overloading example by different data types. So same overloading matters on either the number of parameters should be changed or type of parameter. Suppose your number of parameters are same, so then you can make it type of parameter change. Otherwise, if you keep it the same number of parameters, same type of parameters, so it will become duplicate. Even the return type is changed, is not overloading. It's not a case of overloading. The overloading case will be when your either your number of parameters change or your type of parameters change. Okay, then your overloading will take place. Okay, so this keyword is used for the secondary constructor that I already told. Yeah, inheritance. The inheritance concept is like I have a parent child class, okay, and the parent class properties will be inherited into the child. So I have defined one class with the variable salary, and I want to extend this class in another class programmer. So this salary will be inherited same as it is, but programmer is getting extra bonus, right? So suppose I'm saying one programmer and one architect. So all are getting the same salary, but their bonuses will be different. Okay, so this parameter I can define in the child class. Okay, and when I'm just going to print salary, so salary is coming from the parent. I'm not defining the salary here, but bonus will be printed in the same class, right? Because whatever I have defined for particular class, that will print. Okay, so this is the inheritance concept. So the parent class properties and functions will be inherited into the child. Okay. Okay, here you can see the salary is same, but bonus is different. So you can create another one more class and then you can see, right, how the bonus is different from the salary. So type of inheritance in Scala, there the different levels are there, multi-level, multiple, right? So you can define like a multi-level is like you have a 3 classes A, B, C. So A properties will come to the B, B will come to the C. So it is a level, right? So A is having some salary 1, salary 2. So C will have both the salary. So salary 1 and salary 2 will come in the C. Okay. What is method overriding? These are all same concept in the Java, like OOPS concept, right? Inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism, right? So these all concepts from the Java. So Scala method overriding is the method signature is same, only just we are overriding the body of parent class function in the child. Okay, so you can see the example of right vehicle. So vehicle is we are not specific to the vehicle, which vehicle. It is a bike, it is a car, we are not sure. But when I'm extending this vehicle in my specific class, there I am overriding the function. And one more thing is I have to use override keyword. Override keyword to override the function and give the specific body of that function in the child class. So here I'm creating a variable of my parent, okay, child. I'm just parent reference, I'm assigning the child. So if I'm just creating an object directly of my child, so where b equal to new bike or where c equal to news. So when I call run function, so it will call the whatever object is assigned, that object will be called, that object function will be called. So it will call the child class run, this one or this one it will call. Okay. So if I'm creating a reference of this one, I'm creating a, so it will call this one. Okay. So this is a runtime polymorphism where you are specifying your child class reference you are calling. So it will call the method of child class. Okay. So this is the overriding. So overriding happen in the base and child class, like when you are extending the class, then overriding happen. Okay. So you can call your main object and then you can see the output. So if you have the subclass, okay, so there is one class. So here I'm not defining the rate of interest, but whichever bank is extending, they are defining their own rate of interest. So this is the example of the second example of overriding. So here I'm just defining the different rate of interest value. Okay, and I'm creating that class instance, and then I'm calling the method overridden function I'm calling. So I'm getting the result of that particular class overridden function implementation. Okay, field overriding also there. Okay, so field overriding like this one variable is defined. Okay, so if I'm not using the override keyword, it will give me the error. Okay, so here we have to specify the override annotation keyword I have to use. So I have to define the override keyword, then it will override the value 60 to 100. So the 60 value I given, but my bike is 100. If I have the car, I say 150. So my value of 60 is overridden. Okay. So whatever type of class you are extending, you will be overriding the value of your variable. Okay. So that way you can do. Okay. So here is the one thing is cannot override a mutable variable. Okay. So var type you can't do. You have to create always the val type. Okay. So that is a restriction there. The var type variable you can't override. Okay. So you will get the error. So you should always define the val type. And final. Final is we can use with the final with the variable. Final we can use with the method, and final we can use with the class. So what will be the use cases of when we are using final with the variable means final will become the final variable will become constant. When I'm using with the final with variable methods, it will become method will not be overridden in my child class. When I make it final is a class, I cannot extend the class. So I will try to extend class, it will give me the error. So suppose in my vehicle class, I have a one final math variable, and this final variable I'm trying to override here, I'm getting the error. So when I try this, you can't allow to override. I'm getting the here compilation error, like speed, right? So this is giving the error. So when I'm having a final method, so this is the right runtime, you will get the error, right? You are getting the error here. So you are defining final def, and then you are trying to override here. So when you're trying to override, if it is non-final method, okay, that can be not a problem. But if you have final method, so it will give the error. So so show function is my overridden, right? Final member. So cannot override the final. So if you want to work out this code, so you don't override it, you just comment that, then you can, or you should remove it. So it's just like a restriction, right? Sometimes some APIs you are generating, right? Some classes, library you are creating, and you want to give your jar, right? You want to give your project to someone else, and somebody wants to use the project. So you want to allow to use your APIs, library classes, but don't want to allow to change. So you want to make it like a final. So whatever function you don't want to allow to change, so you can keep it final. Okay, if you want to, because this way you can make it some final, some non-final. Okay, so here suppose you have a 10 functions which are 9 are non-final and 1 is final. So you can go for the final keyword. But suppose all 10 functions you want to make it final. So it is not a better idea like you keep it all method final, all 10 functions. Better to make it final class. If you know, right, your class has all functions are final, like it's string class. So string is final, so they have given class final, not the function final. Okay, because when you are doing class final, like class final, so you cannot extend the class, you can't override the function. If you can't extend the class, you can't override the functions. So they have already put the restriction on the class level. The class level function restriction they put it. So you can't override any of the function of the class. So final class, when you make it class final, any function of the class will not be overridden. Okay, no matter there is final there or not. Okay. So this is, so here I'm trying to extend it, final class. Okay, so I'm getting the illegal inheritance from the final class vehicle. Okay, abstract class, like class which has the concrete and non-concrete method, abstract and non-abstract method. So generally the abstract class is used when we are not sure the implementation now, but in the future we can do. So we can keep it, the method abstract, those method we are not implementing now. But then in the future, like when we are implementing those methods, so we will make it non-abstract, right? We can override in the child class. But that class also is not overriding. So that class will become also abstract. Suppose I say this abstract class by is having the run function. But suppose my hero class, this class is not implementing this function. Okay, so I need to make it this also abstract, and I will not be overriding. I will not be overriding this function. So again, this class will be abstract. So another class which is extending this hero class, that has to do. So it is must like any class which is extending, either it should override all the abstract method or it should become abstract. Okay, so if I'm saying abstract class bike, so if I'm overriding it, then it's fine. So I'm extending the class and overriding this function, and then I can create an instance of this class, not this class. Because this is abstract class, I cannot create an instance of this abstract class. So I can create an instance of my implemented class, and then I can call the function. Okay. So only difference is here in the interface and abstract class, like in the Java, like abstract class can have both concrete and non-concrete, like abstract and non-abstract method, but interface always have the abstract. So that thing is similar to abstract class in Java, like a Scala also abstract class, and trait is also there. Okay. But abstract class, only one class you can extend. That's a limitation of the abstract class, because abstract class can give abstract and non-abstract method both. But problem is the abstract class, you can extend only one class. So there is another solution is their trait. So trait is giving abstract and non-abstract method both. So you can extend one trait and another trait you can use with class to use it. Okay. So abstract class can have the constructor also. Okay. So you can define this. Okay, so if I'm saying the trait, right? So if I come to the trait, right? So trait is like an interface with the partial implementation, okay, which has abstract and non-abstract method both. Okay. So trait is like I define a trait printable, and this trait has the one function, print function. So when I'm extending this trait, so only one trait is there, you will extend. But when you have a two trait, so you will use one trait with extend and another trait you will use with throwable, right? Like this you have to use. Okay. But if you have one trait, you can extend that trait, and then you can override the function, and then you can use it. Okay. So we can create a trait, and then we can use the trait in the class by using extend. Okay, so this one. So I'm getting the output, what I have print in the my class, and I'm extending the trait. Okay. So here is two traits are there. So one trait I'm doing extend, and another trait I'm using with clause, and both the functions I'm overriding. Okay, so which functions I will call, that function will print. Okay. So another one is scala trait having the abstract and non-abstract method. So okay, so suppose I have a one abstract method and one is a non-abstract method. So when I'm extending, so whichever is a non-abstract abstract method is there, I am overriding it. Okay. And non-abstract method, that will automatically come. So okay, so that will be coming to the my class, because when I'm extending the class, so I will get abstract and non-abstract method, but abstract method I have to provide the implementation, and then I'm calling my functions. Okay, so I will print it. Scala has mixin. So mixin basically what, like suppose I have a trait and abstract class, both are there. So what is the behavior, right? How we can extend and how can we use with clause? Okay, so abstract class has a higher precedence over the trait. Suppose you have a one trait and one abstract class. So abstract class will come first. Okay, this is an error. Actually, it is showing first is a trait and then abstract class. Okay, so this will show error because you have to use abstract class first. So what is the order? The right mixin order of the trait is that any class or abstract class which you want to extend, to first extend the abstract class, and then trait will be after that you can use it. So how will you use this? Suppose you have a trait and you have abstract class. So extend the abstract class and with trait. Okay, because you can extend only the one class, right? You cannot extend the more than one class. So you always extend the abstract class if abstract class is there, and the another one is a trait, so that will definitely come with the with clause. So both are having the abstract method. Here is a print, here is a print A4. So when you are both functions you are defining here, and when you are creating an object here, instance of this class, implemented class, and then you can call the function. Okay, so this is called mixin, right? When you have trait and abstract class, both are there. So this is just fundamentals of the traits, right? How to use it in the project. You can see. Okay, so you can print it. So this is like a mix in order. Okay, so if you have, or you can do runtime also, you can trait, you can override. Okay, suppose this class is not used with clause the trait. Okay, just only I'm extending the I'm extending my abstract class. So it's still my, okay, so this function is there, right? This is the print A4, okay, and this is a trait one, okay, and here I'm just when I'm just at the runtime, I'm just using with clause and then I'm calling it. So I define the function, but I'm not using the with clause here. With clause I will use at the time of creating an instance, and that time I can call. Okay, so I can call here. So what are the Scala modifiers are there? So no modifier, protected, and private. Okay, so there are three modifiers. Okay, so there is no public. Okay, so public and no modifier both are same in the Scala. Okay, so what are the accessibility is there? So no access modifier has outside package, yes. Okay, within package, yes. Subclass is yes, and companion class is yes. So no access modifier can be accessed. Okay, but companion also, right, your companion can access okay, so this companion can access the private. Generally the private can access within a class. Okay, outside the package, within package you cannot access. Okay, only the class you can access if you see yes here. But companion is another advantage, like you can access the private properties of your class and object, you can access in each other. Protected is class, subclass, and companion. Okay, so this is used. So we can have some example, like I have some no access modifier. So here I'm trying to access cannot be accessed. Okay, so here is like I can p dot a, because I have to use either constructor way or I should call some setter function. So default properties is called private. Okay, so I cannot access like directly the properties. Okay, so I have to use some setter functions, I can get the values. So show functions I can do, directly set I cannot do. Okay, and like I want to have a protected variable. So protected variable I can access in the child class. So I can change the value of my protected variable in the child class. So I'm modifying here. So I will get the value. Okay. So these are the examples. So next thing is collections we cover. Okay. Because the other topic is the file handling, exception handling. These are small topics. Okay. So next is collection. Okay, 10-minute break I do, and then I will start the collection. Okay. Yeah, hi everyone. Are you able to hear me? Yeah, let's start the collection. Okay, so the Scala has the different collections are there. Okay, so we have collection like set, sequence, map, okay, has set, list set, sorted set. So these are the traits are there, and traits are implemented. The square bracket one is implemented class. So these are the implemented class, and this is also implemented class of this trait. Sorted set is a trait. Okay, so when I want the sorting order, okay, so we can use the sorted set and preset. Okay, and order is maintained, right? In the list is maintaining the order, but has set is not maintaining the order. It's an unordered collection. Okay, and list is allowed duplicate, but set is not allowing duplicate. So list is allowing duplicate. So okay, so when I come to these are the common functions which every collection supporting, right? Had, init, right? I want to initialize some collection with some value. I can use init is empty. I want to check last value. I want to get max value, min value, size of the collection. I want to sum of the all element of the collection, tail, and convert to the to array, like convert to the array. Okay, and list I want to convert. Okay, to sequence I want to create. So it will give me the sequence. So any collection you can convert to these different types you can convert. Okay, so if I say like I have a list element and I want to make it unique element, so I can pass it to the to list, to set. I will create a to set. Okay, so my collection will remove all the duplicate element. So only unique element will be there. Okay, so when I use set, so simply I can create an empty set by set function, set constructor. This is a primary constructor. This is a default constructor. And when I'm passing the set primary constructor, like as many as number of values I'm passing, so it is creating a collection for the set. So here I cannot allow the duplicate. If I'm trying to allow duplicate here, but it will not return me. It will return only the unique values. So I will not get the duplicate value. Okay, so I can print my set. So it is an empty set, and this is the list of values are there in the set. So simply I can create a set by using the set constructor, right? Primary constructor. You can pass the values to the set. Okay, so it will create a set. Okay, so you can use has set. Okay, has set is the implementation of the set. Okay, so if you want to merge the two set, so there is a plus operator sign is there. So you can merge the two sets. You can get the size. You can calculate the size of the set, right? So size function is there. Okay, and if you want to iterate the element of the set, we can iterate. Okay, this is just I'm taking the games.size, and if I want to check whether this particular element there in the set, so contains is there. So contains will tell me whether it's present or not present. So generally, if condition we can use to check the whether. So two types of collections, immutable and mutable. So immutable, the collection cannot be modified. Okay, so we cannot add. Okay, and like I can use plus sign and minus sign to remove element and add element, but I'm creating a new collection or I'm modifying the existing collection. So if I want to iterate the element, so I can simply use the for loop to iterate. So I can iterate the collection. So I can iterate collection. This is same for loop for all collection. Okay, so I can iterate the collection values. Okay, so I can use the for each, I can use the map function to apply some operation on each element of the collection value. So I can use map. So collection dot map we can use, and I'm using lambda here. I'm using lambda, and I'm saying applying some, like I'm adding some suffix, I'm adding some string, I'm adding. And for each also I can use to iterate the element of any collection. So for each also I can use, and here also we can use lambda. Okay, so this way we can do the iteration of my collection element. So same thing if you are using list, the only difference is the list set is the list is allowed duplicate, but set doesn't allow duplicate, and list is ordered element, but set is not ordered. So it can come in the random order, right? So your order can change, or order may change, may not change, but it is not predicted. Okay, so that's a difference. You can do intersection union of the two sets, two
Excuse me.
collections.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What
Hmm.
is the concept of new in Scala?
Concept of
New. Because I see you
New?
using variables, something like games.
New is creating the, generally we use for the new for the instance creation for the class. Generally variable is auto defined, right? Generally we,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
but here I am not using the new because it's just using like a, like
I understand
case
that you use it very frequently in the domain.
but when I'm defining any class, so I have to create an object using the new. If it is my not case class. So in case of case class, I just set the properties. Just set the properties and then I can initialize the instance. So I'm
Okay.
initializing the instance by without using the new. Okay. But if it is a regular class, I have to give a keyword new. That is mandatory. For
Okay.
case class, I don't need to define. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so directly you can set the properties and get the instance. Okay. Collection instance is a collection instance you are creating of the type of set type. Okay. So sorting you want to do. So there are the functions are there. Union means like combining the element. Okay. Intersection means like a common element. Okay. So we can do sorting. I want to do. So sorted set type I create. If I pass the numbers, so it will become sorted because it's a sorted type. So sorted type is a trait, right? Which is a sorting order it maintains. It automatically does the sorting. Otherwise, I have to call the sort function. I have to call on the collection sort. Some sort function should be there. Okay. It is not given. Some sorted function is there that we have to call on the collection to sort, manually sort. Okay. So has set is a implementation class of set. Okay. And has set also behave the same, right, as a set. Okay. So has set, like you are creating a has set type. Okay. And then you are defining the collection values and then you are iterating. Bit set, it is for the binaries values. Generally we use like internally it is using the bit representation of 60-bit word, right? So, but for our use, right, it's the same, right? Any collection. Okay, so we can define as a bit, but moreover, like a bit set are the set of non-negative integer values. Okay, so it's a variable size of array, so it can automatically shrink and expand the value. Based on the value, it will take the size. Okay, so this is a bit set. So these are the different types of collections given in Scala. Okay, for the different purpose. List set is the combination of set with list. Okay, so this is but the behavior of list set will be the same like a set. Okay, only thing is the order will maintain, right? Okay, that is the one. Reverse insertion order. So insertion order will be reversed. That will be order will be maintained. Okay. So here is a list set is there. So that is implementation of type of list. Okay, for the list set. Okay, sequence is some sequence number you want to like some numbers, right? You can create a sequence. So sequence is also like you can use for each to iterate the element. Okay, you can do. So sequence. Suppose index value I want to get, right? So I can get a specific index value. So I can pass the one I can pass. So I'm getting the one. So this is the index 0, 1, 2. So I'm getting the index. And other methods also we can use. There are the so many different contains is there, last index of is there, and with is there. So this all the functions are inbuilt functions. Vector is also one collection. Like vector is a synchronized one. Okay. So vector we have created. So vector is similar to the list. Okay, so we can do the same operation of the list, right? We can create in the vector. So we can do for each reverse, like we can want to element of the reverse of the vector. So we can call the reverse function sorted function. So this function I'm talking about. So you can merge the two vectors, like vector 1, vector 2, you can merge, right? So that way we can do. Okay. And list is element. This is the order is maintained. Okay. So this class is good for the last in first out. Okay. So it is stack kind of one, and it is maintaining the insertion order and allowing the duplicate. So here the duplicate elements are allowed. So one list is created. This is a list, and second list I'm creating, like I can pass this list to another list, then I can create the list 2. Okay. So I can merge the two lists by using the plus sign, right? I can merge like using this, and I can do the reverse sorted. So these are the library functions we can use it, like comparison of the two lists. Okay, I can extend the one list to another list, so I can use the merging we can do. Okay, so it will maintain the order. If I so this 488 and 100 is coming. Okay. Collection is very important role, right? Like generally we work with the collection, right? We are in the programming, right? When we are writing the codes, we are storing the list of data, right? Like we are getting this collections we are creating. But depending on the use case, we are creating a collection, right? Either set, list, or map also we can create, like key value pair, where we have the requirement of key value pair. So Q is first in first out, like which element will come first, that will come out. Okay, so first in first out order is a Q. So Q element like front and rear. Okay, so NQ, like you are adding an element in the queue. Okay, and you are adding a new element in the queue, it will be added in the last, right? And front means the first element you are getting by using the front function. Okay, or DQ you can use to print.
अच्छा लेकिन कितने बजे जाते हैं?
Okay, so stream and these are the different types of collection streams also there. Like we can create a 1 to 10 number stream. So 2 stream, like I can get the element of the stream. I can take the 10 element of the stream. I can multiply of each element, multiply 2. So I can use the stream. Okay, I can apply. So I can get. Map is a key value pair. So where I want to define key with associated with the value. So there are the different way of defining the map. So one presentation is there, right? Map in the bracket you give the key and value. Okay, another one is you can use the arrow sign, hyphen greater than sign. So this sign you can use to define the key and value. So this is a second way to define the map. Okay, so that way we can define. Suppose I want to get the specific key value, I will pass map. I will write it like this, map of, I will pass the key. So I will give the key, I will get the value. So like this, I can get the value. So any, like this is my new element I want to add. So I can add with the key value, or when I want to get the value of A, so I can pass the key and I can get the value. If I want to add a new element, key value pair, so I will add like this plus sign. And if I want to remove any key with value, so just I pass the key, it will remove the value. Key value pair, it will remove. Hash map is an implementation of the map. It's same. So key value pair I can define and then I can use it. Okay. How to iterate the map, right? So map iteration little different. Generally, you use a for each for the collection. So you use lambda, right? X equal greater than sign and x dot x value you can print. But here is not x. Here is a tuple. So tuple is a collection of the key and value. So here you are using case key column key comma value, and then you can individual key and value you can print. So when you are printing, A will print as a key and value will print apple, B and ball, C and cat, right? This it will print the element. Okay. If you want to add, you can add. Again, you can check by using case key comma value. So this way you can iterate the values. Okay. So list map is a implementation of the map using the list. Okay, so it will maintain the order of the key. Okay, so by default the map is unordered by key. Okay, so that is a list map. Okay, and tuple is you want to define the different data types values. So if you have different data types, right? Suppose here you have a same values, same data type, or you can have mixed data type. So when you have mixed data type, you use bracket sign, okay, bracket sign, and then you define your values. So this will become tuple. How to access the tuple values? _1, _2, like that you can do. So tuple dot _1 will get it first value. Tuple is starting the indexing from the first one. It is starting. Okay, and here we can get the values ._1, ._2, ._3, like this. The first value will be starting from the 1. Suppose you want to iterate all the values. So when you have a tuple, so tuple dot product iterator dot for each is there. You cannot directly do tuple values dot for each. You cannot do. You have to do product iterator dot for each. Then you can get the value. Okay, so that way you can do. So you can call some function which is returning the tuple value. Suppose your function wants to return more than one values, so you can use tuple type. So instead of you have to create a list or set or some other collection you have to do. If you have a mixed data type, so you cannot use list set, right? So you can use tuple here. So suppose you have a 3 values tuple, okay, and 3 different values are there. You are returning the tuple, and you are calling the function here and getting all the tuple values. And now you want to access an individual value, so you can directly do tuple values dot _2. So this India will access. When you do tuple values _1, then first value will access. But if you want to iterate all the values, then you can use the for each. Okay, so this is the all collection. Okay, and next is the exception handling. Okay, this is a string. File handling. Exception. This is exception handling. So scala string is first. So scala string, like I have a string variables are there. So we have we can create a new string. So we can do the concatenation. So concatenation, like plus symbol, I can concatenate the value. So we can do, okay. So we can create a new string and then we can add the concatenation we can do. And if you want to compare the two string object, we can use double equal sign. Okay, or equal we can use. So equal and double equal both are same in the Scala, but in Java, if you cannot match the value by using the double equal use in Java use for the reference, like you are matching the reference when the reference are same or not. But for the value matching, you will always use in Java equals. But here in Scala, both are same. Like you can use for the value, like it can check the value. Okay, so you will get the false in the first one, S1, S2, but S2, S3 is true because values are matching. Okay, so equals also you can use. Okay, equals function. Compare to we can use, like if the two values I want to check, they are which value is higher or lesser, right? So based on the character, right? So ASCII code value, it will check. Okay, so it will be checking the value and it will compare it whether it's a positive, negative, or if it's the same, then it will give the 0. So that number it will give. Okay, and plus operation is like a concatenation one. Okay. Okay, so string interpolation is already I have told about that. Okay. Exception handling. So exception handling is like when I'm writing a try catch block, generally we write a try and catch, right? So catch the exception and then rethrow the exception. So if I'm not defining any exception handling, or suppose this value b is 0. So here is the arithmetic exception is there, number cannot be divided by 0. So that arithmetic exception will come number, but I'm not getting the complete masses, and basically my program will come out. I'm not able to print this statement because my exception came and then I came out from my program. I don't want to came out from my program. Still my program should run and it should give the error message, and it should give the error message and program should not be come out. So for that we use try, and whatever statement is coming exception, right? This message, this code is throwing the exception. I will keep it in the catch, and I'm using case. So here little change is there. Generally, we write in the Java, like in the bracket, we write exception E, and then we do E print stack trace. Okay. But here in the catch, I'm writing the case. This case can be, number of cases can be there. Suppose this particular try catch can throw different exceptions. So I can write multiple cases. I can write. If you see here, like I can write case E for arithmetic exception, and case another exception if I'm not having any exception, known exception, or this is for the array index out of bound exception. So when I'm trying to create a array of 2 values, okay, but I'm trying to set the 10th index, so it will give me the array index out of bound exception. When I'm not sure any exception, I can go for like found an unknown exception, right? That is a final, right? If I'm not catching a particular type of exception, so throwable will be the exception. Okay. So if I'm sure like about the exception, so I can define that system exception. Okay. So here is this case is array index out of bound. Okay. So so multiple catch I can define for catching the exception. Okay, so the 10th index is basically it's not accessible. So what is a finally block, right? In the Java and Scala, right? Both are same. Finally is like when we want to close our resources. So even exception comes, or if it doesn't come, I want to close my resources. So 2 places I will need to close the resources. One is my exception is not coming. I need to close my file object resource. Or if exception comes, I have to close my resources in my catch block. So instead of closing the 2 places, my file object resources, I will close my file object resource, I will close it in the finally. So finally will be always executed whether your error exception comes or doesn't come. So instead of writing the 2 places, right, writing the closing the resources, we can write in the finally. So finally will be always executed. Okay. So once your try is completed, then the control will come to the finally. Okay. So that is the use of the finally. So if I make a case of exception is throwing and one case is without exception. Okay. So just I'm assuming it here, I'm closing the resources. So when I'm calling it, in this case, my finally block is okay, actually exception I'm not printing. Okay, this catch. So okay, I have to call it array 10. So exception came. This is the exception. Why the finally is not printing? Yeah, I'm not calling the main function actually. This is just a class. So I have to use this one, then I will come to it. Okay. So Yeah, finally is executing. Okay, so whether exception comes or not comes, so your finally will be always executed. Okay, because the main object was calling the previous one. Actually, I didn't execute this one. Throw keyword is specific exception you want to throw. So you can call the throw new your class. Suppose you have created some custom class, you have defined some custom exception class, and that custom exception class you want to throw forcefully, then you can use throw keyword. So throw new exception class, you can define your, you can throw new exception, then you can throw. So this validate function I'm calling here, and when I'm just having the age is less than 18, I'm just throwing this. So this is the arithmetic exception, but I can write my own custom class. So I can define some custom class like this, invalid age exception. So if you see here the example, this invalid age exception is, so whatever input is coming, this is a less than 18. So I'm throwing this my custom exception. So I'm saying not eligible. Okay. So here I'm throwing particularly, and this function can throw multiple exceptions. When I'm not sure, then we can use throws keyword. So throws keyword can define set of exceptions. Like I'm not sure, like this one can throw invalid age exception or maybe some other exception. So I can write it those exceptions in the throws keyword. So throws keyword is used to throw the multiple exceptions. Okay. So when that the case, so we can use the throws. Okay. So file handling is like a reading and writing file. So in the Scala, like we have the file object we can create, and we can create a print writer object. So we can use the print writer dot write any data we can write. Okay. So first file object is used to create a type of file, right? You are creating a file, and this file object you are writing some data. So you are creating a print object, print writer, and print writer is writing the content to your file. So simply like we can create a file. Okay. Or another way is like we can do the source dot from file. So that is also another way. I can use the, either we can use the file handling APIs, or we can use the source dot from file. The source dot from file, you can provide the file, and you can create a file object. Okay. And then you can print, right? Whatever file you have written, you can print. If you want to read the lines, suppose you have written the lines in the file and you want to read line by line content you want to read, so you can read. Okay. So suppose I have written, so this file will be created in the location where I'm executing this Scala shell. Okay, it will create a file over there. Okay, the file is created. I can check in the my system. I can create the file is created, or otherwise I can read the file again. The same file I can read it by this source.from file. So this will read the file. Okay, so I have to use import statement for this. Import we can use, and then same content what I written in the file I can read, but it will coming as a character. So as a character is coming, because it is reading character by character, because I'm doing it. So if I want to modify the same program, I want to read the all line by line, so I can. So file handling is important, that when you have some property file is there, you want to read a key value pair from the file. So you can use like the key value properties you can read, and you can use those key value properties, right? You can use in your program. So you have to read the file. So file handling is important to read the file. Okay, so these are all the Scala. Okay. So in the weekdays, I will do Python. Okay. So all the time gone into the Scala. Okay. So you can practice, and same examples are there in the Java T point. So this is the website. You can refer here, all the examples, same examples are here, all this, everything. And interview questions are here also. Scala interview questions you can see. And this is whole Scala, right? So same thing when you are going to use in the Spark, So you will be using the same Scala APIs, you will use this programming, okay? So if you are confident in the Scala, writing code in the Scala, then you can write the code in the Spark with the Scala, okay? Yeah, you can follow this, and for Python, you can follow W3 School one. So that one you can follow for Python, right? So you can learn Python from here, okay? Okay. Yeah, I will share in the drive, and the video I will share on the YouTube. Okay, so you guys can watch, and you can practice. Practice is important, right? I'm saying even without video, just you take the reference and do practice. I typed it all the code manually here, right? Because I cannot type it everything, and it is very hard to show everything by typing. But I will suggest you, even a single class you are writing, do practice of writing function, writing class, writing object, do manually, write in the editor. So editor is a very good way. Like you can simply create a one object, and here you define the class, functions, variable, loop, anything, whatever you want to do it here. Okay. So suppose you are creating a where x one array, you are creating array of 2, 3, 4, and now you want to iterate it. So x dot for each, and then you say lambda, okay, so you say k, like println x, okay, println k. Like this, you write code, right? Like different way. For loop is there. Another one is like you can say t of x, okay, and then print t. So at least this accessing the properties, setting the properties, these are the very important things. Like you can able to write code for the functions, you are able to write code for the loop, you are able to write code for the if conditions, you are able to write code for the collection, iteration, setting the values. These are the good enough, right? At least you are able to do this, and then you are able to understand the program, or you are able to write the code. So you can do the small code piece, like you can do some programmatic solution like this recursive function and the higher order function, right? All these things you can use. Okay. Yeah, thanks everyone for attending session.
Yeah, good
Thank
question
you.
for having. So, as a data engineer, would you suggest going with Python or Scala, or it is also mandatory to learn both?
See, I will suggest, yeah, you should prepare both. Okay, we cannot guarantee, right, what project is coming. Okay, so maybe the project is coming Python, right? So you should be, but Python is must for even you are working on Spark or not, because Python is separately needed also. Sometimes you have to write some validation state, file handling, some utilities programming you are doing in the Python, even you are not using for the Spark. Okay, so Python knowledge is must. Okay, but Scala is mostly 99% mostly Scala will be used in the Spark with Scala. You will not be using separately. So Scala is a choice, but Python there is no choice. So Python you have to do, even you do for the PySpark, or you do Python for like other programming. So people ask about in interviews both, right? Mostly they prefer Python. You should have hands-on. Okay, as a programming, as a with PySpark, anyway, right? You should know the knowledge.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you for today.